If you've been watching 90 Day Fiance The Last Resort, then you know this season has been a lot of drama. Everyone has issues, no one likes each other, and it seems like everyone is vying for the title of most toxic couple. But try as they might, no one on the show has managed to reach quite the levels of unlikability as Natalie has. She makes fun of other couples and tries ruining their relationships. She seems fixated on tearing down other women's bodies. And as we'll see today, she's even comfortable committing crimes. Every episode seems to be getting worse and worse with her, so let's finally talk about Natalie's Mean Girl era. This video is kind of a part 2 to the first video I did on this season of The Last Resort. If you're interested, you can check it out here. I think it's pretty funny, but in case you haven't seen it, I'll catch you quickly up to speed with Natalie. 90 Day Fiance The Last Resort, it's a therapy-esque show where they take 6 of the most dysfunctional franchise couples to a therapy resort for them all to work on their problems together. And on this season, we have Natalie and her boyfriend person thing, Josh. The two of them have been together on and off for 3 years at this point. Natalie really wants a serious relationship and a marriage and more commitments, while Josh thinks that Natalie is kinda crazy and doesn't really want to commit. Truly a story as old as time. The first episode was supposed to be a pretty chill episode where the audience was going to be reintroduced to the couples and their problems. But when all the cast members got together to have a little happy hour, Natalie crashed the party and immediately started insulting fellow Eastern European Julia in the most annoying and catty way possible. Julia literally pulled Natalie aside to squash any beef they might have and to try to be the bigger person. But instead, right out of the gate, Natalie insists that Julia is indeed a bigger person. Not just an incredibly rude thing to say, but something about the smile on Natalie's face as she says it really reveals her intentions and character as a mean girl. So already in episode 1, we've established Natalie is not here to make friends. But the other thing we learned from the first episode is that apparently her boyfriend thing, Josh, her situationship guy, may have sorta kinda slid into fellow cast member Sophie's DMs and invited her out to Vegas with him.
Her man has been messaging me on Instagram, inviting me to Vegas.
Sophie rejected the offer and thinks the whole situation is kinda funny. Natalie, why is your man in my DMs? But importantly, as of the end of the first episode, Natalie doesn't know that yet. Episode 2 features all the couples going on some kind of hiking therapy retreat, and we see Natalie and Josh talk about their commitment issues. Natalie complains that she doesn't think that she's a big enough part of Josh's life. She wants more access to him and his personal life. Really, she just wants to go visit his house.
He doesn't want me to investigate his house. And I do want to investigate his house.
Yeah, great job not looking like a complete psycho, Natalie. But Josh, on the other hand, he thinks he helps Natalie out all the time.
I help out a lot with her living situation, with groceries, with gas, with hair.
Yeah, come on, Natalie. He does everything. Pays for your toothbrush, pays for your Ubers, back and forth from his hotel room. Yeah, Josh being Josh, totally not emotionally committed. But somehow, at the end of this discussion, Josh relents and says, okay, if we can get out of these 6 weeks of therapy together as a couple, then you're allowed to come visit my house. And for some reason, that's all Natalie wanted to hear.
Yes, we can do this. Okay,
You heard what I said, correct?
After a successful therapy session, Natalie and Josh go back to the vans to head back to the resort, alongside a fellow couple who had a successful therapy session, Rob and Sophie. Rob and Sophie are innocently talking about their experiences today and how their relationship is going a bit better, when suddenly, in total silence, Natalie does this.
I feel like you love her more than she loves you. This is the issue, because she's ready to give up any time and just leave. And you don't, and I see it.
What's wrong with you, Natalie? Rob and Sophie just wanted to talk about a good thing that happened to them today. A good thing to come out of therapy, in this group therapy session, mind you. When, for no reason, Natalie has to be the pooper about it. Yeah, Sophie, you just don't try at all. You see, I know these things. Your relationship would be a lot better if you had a dynamic that you didn't have, and that's kind of all Sophie's fault. And Rob, you're just so much better than her, and Sophie, you're kind of a piece of shit. I know these things.
I said what I said, and I checked it already, so...
I can't get over them. That's not just being inflammatory. That's not just a rude thing to say. That little smirk, I know better. That thing she did there, epitome of mean girl energy. Now, you may be tempted to think that Natalie is just really mad at Sophie because Josh slid into her DMs. But remember, Natalie doesn't know that yet. She has no idea Josh and Sophie have any kind of history. So, if the editing is to be believed, it seems like Natalie already has some problems with Sophie. She even had this whole one-on-one trashing Sophie about her looks.
I think Sophie wants to be sexy and she likes to draw attention. But is she sexy?
So we're only 2 episodes in and Natalie is already looking like a bit of a menace. But trust me, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Because if Natalie is this catty and angry before she finds out the truth about Josh and Sophie, then you can only imagine what kind of hell breaks loose once she finds out. Which comes in episode 3, which starts right now. The following morning at breakfast, Julia, a fellow person Natalie does not like, leans in to tell Sophie that someone around here has been talking some shit about her, and that somebody is Natalie.
What did she say? Lord, every man here. She told me you have a plastic ass. Why is she talking about my body?
Oh man, when Natalie finds out. This surprises Sophie because up until this point, except the little brouhaha they had in the bus last night, Sophie and Natalie have basically never interacted before. Sophie doesn't know anything about Natalie and doesn't think that Natalie knows anything about her. So she finds it kind of odd that Natalie would be singling her out to do this behind-the-back shit-talking.
It's giving insecure and it's giving mean girl energy.
And now, Sophie and Julia, bonded together through Natalie's hatred of them, become fast friends. And the two of them, along with Brandon and Nari, who are just kind of sitting there, hatch a dastardly plan.
If they keep playing the games with me, I'm gonna play. Can we play too? Might as well.
If Natalie wants to play Mean Girl, well, two can play at that game. Later that night, the entire cast of this therapy show spontaneously decide that it would be much more interesting if they all went out to a club and drank together.
Guys, let's go to club tonight. Everybody.
Because what better way to work on our problems than to hash them out in public around people that don't like us while intoxicated. But hey, at least it makes for good TV. Everyone goes out to the bar, they start drinking and dancing. Some couples are having a little less fun than others. And one of those couples is, of course, Natalie and Josh. Now, on a more serious note, Josh's son had a pretty serious motorbike accident recently, at least recently when this episode was filmed. So Josh actually has to leave the resort and leave the filming of the show for a few days while he goes back and spends some time with his son and goes to doctors and physical therapy appointments. Now, it seems like that's a pretty serious thing, so we wish Josh and his son all the best. But for some reason, although he cleared this ahead of time with the production crew that he was going to have to leave at some point, at least the way it's presented on the show, he's only revealing that information to Natalie right now, while they're drinking at the club the night before he leaves. And of course, Natalie doesn't handle this news the best. I will say she makes a totally valid point here in the one-on-one, where she says of course she understands. Of course it's okay that he can go and take care of his son. However,
Josh should have told me it privately when there is no other people around and before we even got here.
And I totally agree. Why would you wait until the night before you go to tell your partner at a therapy retreat that you're not going to be with them at the therapy retreat? You're telling me he cleared it with production ahead of time and he had the plans. This wasn't just a random emergency call he just got. This was a pre-planned thing that he knew about, got cleared with the whole production, and just happened to not tell Natalie? I don't know. If that actually happened the way we see it, and this isn't some kind of TV magic, that seems incredibly inconsiderate of Josh. I would be pretty upset too if I were Natalie. But Josh hasn't left yet, and the two of them still have the rest of the night to enjoy their time together. Unless Sophie has something to say about it. Sophie notices that Josh is at the bar by himself and decides now's the time to make her move. She goes up to Josh, acting all nice, asking, so how are you and Natalie doing together, huh? And it seems like Sophie's petty plan to make Natalie jealous is working out fabulously. Because not only does Natalie see all of this, she's also got some choice words for Sophie.
What would you do in this situation? Why she talks to him? I don't like it. She's half naked. I mean, she doesn't even have underwear.
As Sophie and Josh keep yucking it up, we see Stacey and Jasmine enter the fray. And what started off as the two of them trying to comfort Natalie and maybe calm her down a little bit,
Natalie, what? I'm your friend.
quickly takes a different turn. When Jasmine gets up close and whispers in Natalie's ear,
I think that Josh likes Sophie.
He likes Sophie?
okay, really not helping here, Jasmine. By the way, I should point out that at this point, Jasmine actually knows the truth about Sophie and Josh. She knows about the DM, so it's kind of weird that instead of starting the conversation with that, Jasmine instead kind of pokes and prods Natalie in that direction.
Look at him! All flirtatious.
Before telling Natalie the truth.
He was inviting Sophie to his place.
When?
A few weeks ago?
Are you sure?
She said it.
I don't know, it just kind of seems a little backstabby from Jasmine. Like, okay, you can tell your girl the truth about what's going on with her and her man. That's fine, that's not the backstabby part, but the way she did it, and the smile on her face, and what we're about to see in a couple minutes, just kind of seems like Jasmine isn't really telling Natalie for the right reasons, you know? Maybe not really telling her so that she knows the truth, maybe telling her because she knows this will make Natalie blow up and cause a lot of drama, which may be what Jasmine is really interested in.
Jasmine's third and like is acting like an innocent.
Regardless, Natalie now knows the truth, so let's see how she takes it.
What he invited to Vegas? That? To Vegas? Trash.
Oh, well, that actually wasn't too bad. Oh, wait, there's more.
I go like that. Oh, wait. I'm looking for single guy. Any single guys here?
So now, in the middle of the club, Natalie starts shouting to the crowd, asking for any single guys she can meet up with. The crowd finds this hilarious and, like us, are eager to watch the fireworks, while Josh correctly interprets that his time on this earth is now limited.
I'm gonna go get yelled at now. It's my time to get yelled at, I guess.
Sophie quickly celebrates a job well done with her partner Rob, before approaching Natalie directly to face the issue head on. Natalie brings up the flying her out to Vegas DM. It's a bunch of hoopla.
Did he invite you to Vegas or no? Did he invite you to Vegas or no?
Everyone's trying to de-escalate the situation. Jasmine tries saying that it's not Sophie's fault, you should be mad at Josh. Sophie says that she does nothing wrong. Meanwhile, the only person being quiet right now is Josh, who's being a real man right now by not taking any accountability and instead decides to sit back, shut up, and watch the girls fight.
You hop naked. With a random guy in Vegas because you're hooker. Normal woman would never do it.
Natalie.
Shame on you.
And although this fight is pretty entertaining and Natalie is an extremely unlikable character, I do feel a little bad for her. I mean, she did just find out that her long-term partner thing was flirting with other women. And she was the last one to find out. And she found out at a therapy retreat.
Maybe she likes you. God bless you guys. Just don't big and then maybe she likes you.
That is pretty humiliating, and I think her anger and frustration is justified. She really needs to cool it a little bit, and her anger should really be directed at Josh. He's the one being infidelitous and scummy after all. But that's not what happens. Natalie calls Sophie a hooker. You're half naked. What are you doing effing other people's boyfriends? How could you? I would never do this to another girl. While Sophie, and it seems like the rest of the women, are defending Sophie and saying, hey, she didn't actually do anything wrong. You should be mad at Josh. When confronted, Josh just acts dumb and pretends to not understand why inviting a girl out to Vegas looks kind of sus.
If you love him, God bless, but be honest to me. Don't invite me to Vegas.
We've not been to Vegas.
Why you invited
Nobody
him?
has been to Vegas.
Well, yeah, I asked a girl to come over to my place and hang out with drinks, but she didn't say yes, so nothing happened. Really, man, that's the excuse. You gotta do better than that. Then Natalie gets even more toxic.
You're 20 years younger, but you got your
My God. Getting all, what are you doing with my man and who are you? You know, that's kind of funny, a little entertaining, but once you're saying that you fellow woman, your body is trash, like who are you? Now we're just women hating on women for no reason. What does people's attractiveness and bodies have anything to do with this, really? That's just not cool and pretty trashy behavior, if I say so myself. Natalie storms off from the argument and goes outside to calm down, sort of. While in the meantime, we get Josh's full explanation. He tells us in a one-on-one that he only meant to invite Sophie as a friend. In fact, he was already going to Vegas with a bunch of their mutual friends apparently, and asked Sophie if she wanted to join him and the friends on this trip. However, Natalie was not invited, because...
Why did I not invite Natalie? Well, when there are other pretty girls around, she gets very upset. The volcano explodes.
So you mean to tell me that Josh knows he has a volatile, jealous girlfriend and knows he's gonna go on this trip to Vegas with a bunch of attractive women, and his solution to this jealousy is to just not tell Natalie it's happening? What a boneheaded idea. So if your partner doesn't want you to go out to strip clubs, like with Jovi and Yara, then instead of not going to strip clubs or having good communication about it or clarifying that it's just for business, Instead, that'd be like going to strip clubs all the time and just getting better at not telling your wife about it. Yeah, great idea, man. How's that working out for you? Of course, Natalie's issues aren't entirely Josh's responsibility, but if your lifestyles are this incompatible and the only way you're dealing with it is to lie about it, then honestly, sounds like the two of you should just break up. Josh goes outside to face the music with Natalie. Natalie yells at him a bunch, saying that she would never be so unfaithful.
Because I'm honest and devotion, idiot, the stupid, trash, idiot, dog, go away. This? Why? I deserve a man who will respect me. I would never do this to you.
Honestly, despite the tone, mostly valid points. But Josh seems to see this as just him getting yelled at again, which honestly I can't blame him. Because instead of taking her complaint seriously at all, he just kind of rolls his eyes back and mentally checks out.
And I would say, what? You know what I would say? I'm in a relationship.
Good job.
I'm sorry.
When Josh finally tells Natalie that he will not be going anywhere with her, before muttering the 5 fateful words guaranteed to make every situation 10 times worse, you need to calm down.
Josh, I waited for you.
I'm not going anywhere with you. You need to calm down.
That sends Natalie into a spiral, and this is what happens.
I'm so bad.
She went up to Sophie, flipped the glass in her face, and broke it on the ground. Which, besides being really aggressive, super dangerous, by the way. And after committing that minor misdemeanor, Natalie immediately bolts out of the club, only to be stopped outside by an equally angry Jasmine.
Fix it. You started, you fix it.
Who's not only more intimidating than Natalie, but even goes full-on mafia boss on her.
Listen, you are not gonna play these games with me, and you're crazy, but don't mess up with me, Natalie.
Jasmine gives her the whole 9 yards, saying that none of this was a woman's fault today, it was all Josh's fault. He's the one you should be mad at, stop calling women trash, stop calling us whores. And at this point, all hell breaks loose.
And you think that you're better than any other woman, you're not. You throw a glass on my feet and you're gonna apologize.
Biniyam and Florian step in to try to separate the women. I have a feeling this is neither of theirs first time having to do this. But before it ends, Jasmine has one final threat.
You wanna meet with crazy? I'm crazy. That's why you are alone when no man can deal with it. You bitch.
Yeah, that was a lot. Honestly, when I was watching, I was pretty hyped up for Jasmine's little speech here. When someone acts so ridiculously and is as blatantly disrespectful as Natalie was, I think there's some sense of justice when someone calls that person out for their bullshit. Especially when someone smashes glasses. Like, come on, bro, you can't be doing that. I used to work as both a janitor and a server, so I think I'm just especially sensitive to the broken glass thing. But Natalie has been so ridiculous for so long by now that someone really does have to step up and put her in her place. I do think that was totally deserved and pretty fun to see. However, it is a little rich coming from Jasmine. Jasmine did kind of instigate this whole thing and then act innocent. She's got her hands behind Natalie's back saying it's all the guy's fault, but then swaps and has her hands behind Sophie's back. And she's the one that told Natalie in the first place, but when Natalie tried to say that Jasmine told me what you did, she tries to interrupt and is like, oh, you're not me, I'm not involved.
You know what Jasmine said? That you offered her to go to Vegas.
Smiling the whole time. I mean, she does seem like she's playing both sides here. And although it is honestly pretty iconic to say, you think you're crazy, bitch, I'm crazy, that's pretty cool. But if that's your big argument, and that's no man is gonna wanna deal with all of your feisty, volatile bullshit, that's why you're alone, while the reason you yourself are in this therapy retreat is because your husband is upset with you and doesn't like how volatile and angry you are all the time, a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black there. Still, Natalie was called out, seemed to be a little intimidated, and although I think Natalie does have a lot of good points and I understand why she would be so frustrated with Josh in this situation, I think Josh is the big coward here who's not taking accountability and really making the whole thing worse for himself. She was clearly out of line, has been out of line, and then obviously broke the glass. So really, you reap what you sow with Natalie. The episode ends there, but the drama does not. Because in episode 4, Natalie tries to apologize to the rest of the cast for her bad behavior and almost seems like she wants to be one of the girls now that Josh is gone. But that pretty quickly turns into one of the most terrifying scenes I've ever seen with Natalie as she channels her inner Wicked Witch of the West, maniacally cackling and mocking other people in the middle of a therapy session. But I think we're about out of time for today, so that will have to wait until a future video. That's all I got for today. Let me know what you thought about Natalie and Josh in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the season so far, and a big message to everybody. I will be out of town for the next 2.5 weeks, I believe, traveling, and I'm going to my honeymoon. So there won't be any videos in these next 2 weeks. And although I'll enjoy myself, just know that I'll miss you all very, very much. A big thank you to all of you channel members for helping support this channel, with an extra special thank you to my producers, Nancy Jones and Deal Chronister. And until next time, in a few weeks, I'll see you later.